calling on government officials to be more transparent. One guy told us that he wants Governor Kemp to call a special session here in Georgia to really evaluate what's going on here with the election. So we have here Ricky, and what brings you out here on this holiday weekend?
Well, Melina, first of all, I'd like to thank NTD News. I think you guys are very fair and been covering this, and no other news network has been doing that, so we appreciate that. But I come out here because I know that this has not been a transparent election. People have been denied to watch the vote count. There has been fraud with the Dominion machines and the Smartmatic software, and then we've heard that there are bribes being taken by high officials to get this software in here, and there's been plenty of people that live out of state that have voted that should not have voted. We would just like a clean and fair audit instead of just recounting the votes that they've already counted. So we want justice. We want light to be shed on this fraud, this cheating, what's ever going on behind the scene. Pull the curtain back. Let it be transparent so we could see. Also, we would like our state officials to stand up like they did in Pennsylvania. We want our state officials to be bold. We want a hearing. We would like the state officials to take back from the Secretary of State and the governor, take back the Electoral College, take back the electors, and let's get a fair election. Thank you.
So I know Sidney Powell's led team just released a lawsuit this week with many allegations talking about the Dominion voting systems, as well as, like you were talking about, the voters out of state. Have you gotten a chance to look at that?
We've seen some of it. I think it's a 100-page document, and we haven't heard what the result of that is, but there is a private lawyer who filed the lawsuit, and I heard that he was granted an appeal. So he is going to have an appeal, and I believe it's next week. So the governor and the Secretary of State will have to appear at that, and they'll have to answer the questions which the public wants.
So you're talking about Lynn Wood's case, right?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, so we know that his case was once thrown out, and then he also got an appeal to go to the district court, right, the 11th Circuit. So we're really just waiting to see what's going to happen with that one. So a couple of lawsuits going on here in Georgia right now. So I know these guys might have something to say back here about Pennsylvania.
Step forward.
We're here as a group just to support liberty. Our Constitution was founded on the idea that we had a freedom of voice, a freedom of speech, a freedom of movement throughout this nation, and those freedoms are being restricted. And whatever you think about what's going on now with the pandemic, we have the right and the opportunity to see a fair and just election, which is, I believe, we're not seeing right now. So the best thing we can do is to check signature for vote, do an honest audit of the votes for this, not only this state, but every single state across. I'm talking from California to New Jersey and across the nation. Let's do this. We're the only nation, it seems, that are caught up in this. Canada still does write-in ballots. They don't have this issue. Dominion is based in Canada, and they don't use Dominion. So there's a real issue here that needs to be looked at, and it's just bigger than our state. But we're standing today for the state of Georgia because we believe in truth. We believe in God. We believe in His divine providence. I pray every day for this nation, and I pray for both sides of this issue because both sides need to be heard. Yet, truth needs to be revealed.
Amen, bro.
That's very well said. What's your name?
My name is David Cruz.
David Cruz, awesome. So you guys
Retired firefighter.
Yeah.
cool.
First,
You guys
first
are,
responder.
oh, cool. Are you guys Georgia natives?
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Cool. So am I. I'm also a Georgia native.
Oh, excellent.
Were you guys here last weekend?
We were here about 2 weekends
weeks
ago.
ago.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
yes.
And we're going to the Trump rally next week because we have to save the Senate in Georgia, and we can't have this same fraud and deception happen again. So we need to do something now. We need to stand bold and not let this happen on January 5th for the senatorial election where they will steal the Senate from us.
We cannot use that same hardware, that same machine technology. It has got to be a fair and honest vote for, or election rather, for these candidates for Senate.
Yeah, we know Georgia. Georgia's getting super important right now, of course, with the Senate race. We know Trump is coming here next weekend.
Yeah.
From my understanding, he's also joining a Stop the Steal rally while
Yes,
he's
he
here.
is.
So that's going to be, last weekend there was a crowd. As you can see here, there's a couple of people gathering, a little bit scattered. Last weekend they were shoulder to shoulder. It looks like it's starting to gain a little bit more traction here, maybe about 40 or 50 people, but we're waiting on some speakers to come on over here. We're waiting to hear from C.J. Pearson as well as one other young man.
Chandler Crump.
Yeah, Chandler Crump, that's him, Chandler Crump. So have you guys been following those people? Anybody follow Chandler Crump or CJ?
Occasionally I watch.
Yeah, occasionally, yes.
Awesome.
Bright
Okay.
young man.
What do you think about what he's going to say today? What do you hope he will say?
I don't know. I haven't seen him in about a month or so, so I'm not sure where he's positioning himself right now.
Okay.
But I just hope he, calls out the young people that hopefully are following him more en masse than us older guys, and speaks the truth to them. And
we also have
gives
Charlie
them to
Kirk
believe.
coming in next week too. Charlie Kirk's
Charlie
coming in
Kirk
next
will be
week.
here Thursday.
He'll be in Marietta. We've gotten tickets for that because I think what you're looking in Charlie Kirk is a phenomenally gifted young man who has the courage to stand on our college campuses and universities and in our schools and actually debate, which is our constitutional right, is the opportunity to really express our opinion.
Yeah.
And Charlie has expressed his opinion on college campuses and schools throughout the nation. So I would encourage anybody to come see Charlie Kirk this next week.
Turning point.
And we know that the colleges have been very affected in recent
Yes.
years, right?
Yeah.
So that's something, we follow closely at NTD. So so we're just waiting to hear from the speakers here, and the crowd seems to be gathering now, so we're just waiting to hear from them, and we'll keep you guys updated.
Go NTD News.
Yeah, NTD News.
We love
Awesome.
you guys.
NTD.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you,
We
guys.
love NTD. 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 Woo!
Hell yeah!
All right.
At least they're honest.
We don't see Fox here.
You can see
Right.
it. You can
You
see
don't
it's
see
online.
CNN here.
It's online.
You don't see
it's
NBC
online.
here. ABC's
Oh,
not
it's
here.
live stream right now. So you can see it online. Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Melina.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you so
We
much.
love you.
Thank you. Thank you. Love you guys too. Glad you guys are here.
So when you talk about, when you call your legislators, point out to them these two things. It's not just fraud, but it's also that he's a very bad, dangerous candidate.
Yeah,
Get the truck. Get the truck. Get the truck.
yeah, yeah. Go!
Yeah, that was a live stream.
Yeah, what's up?
What about the consent decree? The Raffensperger consent decree, that's the one that compromised all the security protocols. I'm not hearing anybody addressing, what are we doing with that? Because it allows for ballot harvesting, it allows for compromised postmarks, it also allows for no signature verification. When you look at how many signatures were thrown out here in this last batch, I think it was only 30 out of 5 million votes cast. That's because of that illegal consent decree that Raffensperger signed with Stacey Abrams and the rest of the Democrats. Come January 5th, if we follow those same protocols, we're going to be right back where we are today.
Yes.
Because that cannot be allowed to stand. The other issue is, this whole idea of changing election laws without going to the legislature. Raffensperger has no authority to do that. So for me, that's my big issue.
Right.
In addition to all the fraud and the shady statistics and so on. One other thing I want to mention, because
We need to see. Are we live right now?
all right, one other thing I want to mention, because I have been doing business with Georgia for 20 years. Procurement laws procurement laws require that any of the state's data reside within the continental United States. Why are we buying Dominion Systems and Scanmatic Software, a Canadian company with servers in Germany? That violates the procurement laws. How did that happen? Who looked the other way? Why did they look the other way?
Do you think these are questions that are going to be addressed with the Sidney Powell's lawsuit or with Lynn Wood's lawsuit?
They should. They should. Yeah. But again, we'll see what happens with Lynn Wood. He says that Kemp and Rassenberger are dirty. Let's see what happens.
They are dirty.
You know, and we know right now there's also a car parade going on in across Raffensperger's home. Some patriots have gathered. They're going to have a car parade going in front of Raffensperger's home, probably trying to address what you're talking about here with, you know, apparently, what's your name?
Linda Arnold.
Linda says she thinks that they are looking the other way, so definitely that's something to keep in mind. And it looks like we have another parade right behind us coming through here. That's very interesting. A very interesting parade coming through here. We know there's now an in the CCP parade, so a lot of these people that are driving by with those banners have very strong beliefs that the Chinese Communist Party is very responsible for a lot of the problems that we are seeing in the world today. Do you also think that way, Linda? What do you think about this?
You know, I haven't seen any evidence, but according to Sidney Powell, both the CCP and Iran were involved in this whole Scanmatic Dominion voting systems mess. I would not put it past them because they didn't want Donald Trump in the Oval Office. You know, and
the Chinese leaders, you mean, didn't want?
Yeah, Biden is their guy. You know, and Hunter's laptop showed that. So anyway, I wanted to bring that up. Thank you.
I know we reported with that.
But I have taken the time.
What's going to happen if stealing this, China's hell, they're going to go out and assassinate cops like they did in California, New York, and other places, and they're going to try to go out into the suburbs. That's when the Civil War is going to happen. So the Supreme Court better do the right damn thing and give it to the rightful winner, or there's going to be a Supreme Court. So sooner or later, people are going to say, hell no, you're not going to steal every goddamn election. And there's going to be a war. There's just no damn way in hell they're going to keep on stealing the election. Yeah. They did this in 72. They threw out all of Louisiana, all of Arkansas because they cheated so bad. And the 1800s, they had 2 more cases where they tried to cheat and steal. And then they got it.
对，我就问你行不行这样播？
Yeah, that's not a good look for you, bro.
就我这样现在造型吗？你觉得？你有什么问题要赶快告诉我？有什么？我没弄有。
Go vote Republican. Jesus loves you.
Why they planned it over this Thanksgiving holiday?
不行不行，这个东西太多了。
Yeah, they do.
It's angry Democrats. You know what it is? It's that Republican just dying to get out. And they can't get the door quiet open somehow, some way.
你需要我换位置吗？你看，我现在是在正中间，但是这个多的人就看不到，就是只能拍这个演讲的人，但是演讲的人现在没有。
Yeah. They're fighting their inner demons. They're trying to get out and become a good Republican.
我现在转过来，你看这个。
Is he career or is he? Yeah, my son-in-law just finished 20. And they're buying a house in Kansas.
I've been 25
Yeah,
years
they're
on
going to be great guys.
I am so
So in fact,
disappointed.
he's here for this weekend, so we're meeting up with her, go see her house. And the one I met,
Amen on that.
she's selling, so we're getting it all painted.
Sandra Smith.
New carpet, gets all set up, but he needs to file before he submits his papers. He needs to have the house
I just tuned in for select shows.
because when he submits his papers,
Bias or
Faith and freedom rally.
Oh, man.
and told to just
Mark that thing, baby. Take a picture.
So you guys didn't have the menu.
It'll be an my NTD email is connected to my computer. I can't get into it right now. This isn't at the time. It's okay. It's okay.
This is my bodyguard.
你要需要我那个想想，你告诉我。
No, we won't do it. I came down last week. It was wild. Tuesday is a retirement.
okay.
And what is missing is the detail about
Well, there's an organization that
we tried.
I know. I was looking for that too.
they've been rounding up people to come up here.
So
All expenses paid. I don't know who's paying for it. Obviously, that's the big truck. Somebody's paying for
I'm gonna see
come up here.
I've been through a lot of this. You know, that is so ironic. A lot of the fire guys, they were, when I was in state,
and the
now you got to think about it. But back then, you had to retire, you go to home.
There you go. Yeah. That's right. Right on. Exactly. Yeah. Baby. 4 more years.
Yeah, they know a number of
You can't tell me. Bring that vote.
and they were able to buy around.
I like your pitchfork.
He never had more than 15 cars than at his rally.
Yeah.
Wow, you're familiar with it. Okay, cool. So we are.
I'm surprised they don't good luck with your sale and get to be near your grandkids.
They got a right to carry. Got a right to bear
So we are here with Mi. She is an immigrant from Shanghai, right? And she came here 35 years ago. So why is it important for you to come here and express your love for America and the integrity of this election?
I love this country. It's so beautiful. It's freedom. So that's why I want to come to this beautiful country. I support Trump. So I don't want to back to China like communist.
Why? What do you think is Why do you think America is so much different than your hometown country?
My hometown don't have any freedoms. If you can listen to the speak, freedom, you can do everything. So I come here, so everything so people so nice, the country is so beautiful. You can't believe in the God. In China, you can't believe in anything. So come here, you can believe the.
So, one thing that I was thinking about, I interviewed a couple of people who say that it's an irrational fear that America could turn into a socialist communist system. From what you experienced living in China, do you see signs of socialism, communism in America right now?
Yeah. Then I don't want to. In China, you have to know. If you do like a weight check, so that delete everything for you. So don't have to any freedom. You can't say anything.
Does that remind you, what's going on with Twitter and Facebook now? They're deleting.
Right now the Facebook, Twitter is really bad. Just like a communist.
That's what a lot of people were saying. So thank you so much for sharing with us, Me.
Trump gonna come to win this 4 more years when you and Trump change in the United States.
That's very good. Thank you so much, Me. I appreciate you. Awesome.
They're the ones who are going to die.
Well done.
I got a friend that lived off Lindbergh. He sold his condo. He moved up to Forsyth to get away from it. His sister lived off Moore's Mill Road.
got invited to the inauguration.
She's scared.
That's
She
awesome.
moved her 2 young kids. Nothing happened. People are Republicans that believe in the inner city. They're going to be devastated financially. And when it all goes bad, liberals right here stirring this crap up, voting for Biden, they're the ones that are going to die. They are so stupid. Never thought I'd see America so damn stupid. They think they're going to go up to 500 guys with choppers and say, I voted for Biden. There you go. There you go.
Gonna be on TV tonight? Yeah. Can't wait. Trump was talking about you. He was like, they're marching in Harrisburg. They got all the good TV stations, NTD, Newsmax, not Fox anymore. Fox News is no more. I won't support them. I watched Fox News for years. I won't support them anymore.
They call Japan.
Go ahead. Oh, are they coming?
Yeah, the Japan flag.
Oh, great. Cool. Go get it. Go get it, Tig.
Stop the steal! 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 We have not yet begun to fight! We love Trump! 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 USA! 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 USA!
Using civil engineering, and then they talked about, like, in their sustainability classes, they were talking a lot about, like, communism.
Is it now? Okay. I'll introduce the thing again and then we'll talk to you guys.
Okay, sounds good.
So my name's Melina, and we're here in Atlanta, Georgia at the Stop the Steal rally. This is the fourth one in a row that Atlantans have come to here to protest the election here in Georgia. They say that there wasn't integrity in the elections this year, and they're really trying to get the governors and the Secretary of State and government officials to wake up and call a special session to make sure everything is transparent. So we're here with some travelers. These people are from Colorado and Missouri. Yes. They're college students, and they said they're out here trying to canvass. So can you explain to us what that means?
Sure. So we're going door to door, but to targeted voters and talking to them about pro-life issues. They have been pre-screened, and we know that that's a major issue for them is abortion, and they're pro-life. And so we're trying to encourage them to vote conservatively. And that's a major way to get people out, to have good turnout, is like an issue with abortion. So that's something that encourages people to get out. And we're also just encouraging people to do their research too, because the media is definitely blurring the lines of what's really going on. Yeah.
What's your name?
Rachel.
Rachel, that's awesome.
Yes.
And she's from Colorado. She just graduated, and I know these two are still in school, right? And so we're talking about the environment on college campus. We know right now there's a lot of influence and encouragement for students to really follow a socialist agenda. So he said he was a civil engineer. That's what he's studying. And so he said that actually there's some aspects of socialism being taught even in a civil engineer course.
Yeah. So
what was the name of the class?
Yeah, it was called Sustainable Urban Infrastructure, and it sounds like it'd be, more of a functionality-based infrastructure type class, how to create infrastructures that will last a while, that sort of thing. But a lot of it included a lot of socialist ideology, critical race theory, equity, all that kind of stuff that really seemed to come out of left field from an engineering standpoint. And so, yeah, absolutely.
We were forced to read articles and present on like gender issues and things like that. And this is a civil engineering course, so I'm glad that we're spending our money on those good classes.
So let me ask you guys, how do you guys handle the pressure on campus? Because we know conservatives have been censored in the past, conservative students, especially in that environment. How do you guys handle the pressure?
Well, I think you really have to pick your battles wisely. In the past, I would say keep your head down and, just kind of stay in your lane. People need to kind of stand out a little more and stand up for what's right. And so that's what I try to do in a somewhat subtle, very friendly, non-threatening way, but to say, I don't necessarily agree with that.
Well, I would say, try to break the stereotypes or the assumptions that people may have about conservatives. If they think that they are just stuck in their ways and very closed-minded, then show them, no, I do think for myself, and I do logically come to conclusions, but that doesn't mean that we're going to come to the same conclusion. So if they think that conservatives are just mean and closed-minded, prove them wrong. Show them that you're actually nice, and then I don't know, I just encourage people to show, encourage your friends to also do their own research too. Yeah. But Tom,
I know.
is
Yeah.
who's like on campus.
Yeah, and I actually go to a smaller campus in Missouri, but so it seems like a little bit different than the stereotypical college lifestyle, because there's actually a lot of conservatives on campus, and of course there's also that liberal population as well. But for the most part, that campus hasn't gotten too crazy, just because of how small it is, but in a smaller level I have felt it some, but you're able to express yourself more at that college since there's such a big conservative population. That's pretty good. But sometimes, every once in a while, our teachers, for the most part, are pretty left-leaning. So it feels like sometimes if you don't answer essays in the right way or something, they'll really dock you for certain points you make. But for the most part, being such a small campus, I'm really fortunate that there is such a big conservative population of students.
Awesome. Thank you. It's Thomas, right? Yes. Cool. That's awesome. So why did you guys decide, I know you have your work here and you're going to neighborhoods to canvass, so why did you guys decide to come here today? Are you familiar with what's going on in Georgia right now?
Well, Nick and I, so we're married, we went to a Stop the Steal rally in Cheyenne, Wyoming, because we live in Fort Collins, which is just really close to the border of Wyoming. So we went there the first weekend that they were having Stop the Steal rallies, and then we were like, well, let's go to Atlanta and do one. That would be so fun. And it's definitely more politically charged here, so it's a different feeling because people feel like there's more skin in the game here. Whereas in Wyoming, it was still passionate, but there's just a different flavor here.
Right. She's talking about the skin in the game right now. We know Georgia's super important. The Senate race is coming up, and some of the people here told us that they really hope that if there was any election fraud in this election, that that's not involved in the next election. Actually, we know Trump is coming here. I don't know if you guys are going to stay for that.
We're going to be gone by then. We're so bummed. And we wanted to see Charlie Kirk too, so we wish.
Yeah, so we know that some of these people here are going to go see Trump next weekend. He's going to actually attend to Stop the Steal rally here in Georgia. So Georgia's super heated right now. We know there was just a lawsuit filed by Sidney Powell-led legal team, and she alleged many things, many cases of fraud, one of them being, of course, the Dominion voting system has been a controversial issue since before the election. And we also know that she alleges they found ballots where people have registered at commercial addresses, so they're using business addresses they're registering with business addresses to vote. So we know those are some of the top issues that have been going on here in Georgia. So thank you guys for being here, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Yeah, awesome.
Thank you for coming.
Oh, thank you.
You have a line of it. Like,
You want me to sign that? I actually had one. I was going to bring one of their.
Public hearings now!
yeah, I was going to bring one of their. If it's, like kerosene or something like that, it would be really slow. So gasoline would go quite fast. Especially if it's
I just got on Parlor 2 weeks ago, and I subscribed to them on there.
Well, yeah. Again, regular gas.
Do the right thing, damn it!
A lot of them,
Probably a couple miles an hour, something like that. Like 10.
Couch while we go ahead and steal your country. Well, that don't fly here in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and it sure as hell don't fly in the rest of this country.
That's right.
We got to stand up and be counted, hear our voices. Listen, we're not going away. There's a long legal fight going on, and we're going to continue to fight it because we, unlike the opposition, understand our founding documents, understand the brilliance and the genius behind them. We understand that there is a legal, peaceful mechanism by which to conclude a presidential election. I'm always at a loss to find out all these people who are just frothing and hating this guy. He's a very brash guy, and I think that's one of the reasons why people like him. He says it like it is. He says it like it is. That's right. Nobody wants cold tested.
He's full of workers.
Like you are hearing me talk. They want to hear from the truth. They want to hear speaking from the heart. Biden, we had no hope. And I'm supposed to believe that he got more votes than Obama, who was, right or wrong, a very popular president. And you're going to tell me Grandpa Badfinger got more votes than him? I don't think so.
Trump got
I mean,
Pennsylvania.
how come he didn't get coronavirus? He's always sniffing everybody. I don't,
That's weird.
I said enough. I'm going to give it back to the man now. That brings me to a good point. Our opposition, the Democrats, and all the liberal losers in the streets, they talk so much about democracy. Well, number one, we're a republic. We're not a democracy. And number two, if they believe in democracy so much, then surely they'd have no problem with the vote being audited. After all, everybody's voice counts, right? Oh, no. They're liars and grifters because they only believe that their voice counts. They believe that the cities should have the right to tyrannize everyone else in the state. I see this firsthand in Virginia. Richmond and Alexandria dictate what the rest of the state says. Are you kidding me? Are you absolutely kidding me? No. We are not going to believe their lies. We're going to support President Trump, and we are going to uphold our republic.
Yes.
We're going to win, win, win.
Win.
I'm not tired of winning.
And Joe Biden's going to raise our taxes and get rid of our workers.
They're going to destroy the jobs in this nation.
That's right. That's right, John.
They already tried doing that with the COVID lockdown. Does anybody else see that? Like, these coronavirus lockdowns have destroyed the economies of Pennsylvania, Michigan, Virginia, and all of these other states where these Democrat governors think they just get to tyrannize the population. It's disgusting. And then they have the audacity to say, oh, it was your economy, Mr. President. No. You destroyed the economy. And we're picking up the pieces from your policies.
He's the one who has the trident. Decked up trident.
Yeah, that's if the president, who's in his 70s and, you know, he's got a little bit of padding on his midsection, can get through COVID, you know, no problems. He got rid of it in like 2 days, basically. If he can get rid of that, you think COVID's really going to affect me? I'll tell you something. I had COVID at one point. You want to know what it was? It was like 2 days of headaches and like a sore throat for a week. Yeah, that's the virus we got to shut our country down for. What was the survival rate again? Like 99.997? Are you kidding me? We're shutting our country down because of that.
He's killing American people. Joe Biden's killing American people.
Yep. It's a campaign against the American people. These people shouldn't be in office. Our livelihoods are not political betting chips. And frankly, if, you know, Bill Gates releases his COVID vaccine, I think the first people to test it should be the politicians.
So I'm here at the Stop the Steal rally in Atlanta, Georgia. This is the 4th weekend in a row that these people are gathering out here in front of the state capitol, just expressing their voice. They want to be heard. They say that this election here in Georgia, it was not transparent, and they really want to make election officials aware that they want a special session called. That's what they keep telling us. So even though it's a holiday, there's still a good crowd out here. If you can see, there's probably about 40 or so people here lined up and down the sidewalks. A couple of them have told us that they're really concerned about the Senate race. They really want to make sure that if there was any potential fraud in the presidential race, they really hope that the Senate race is transparent and a clean-cut race. They say that, you know, this Senate race is very important. We've had a lot of people, a lot of big-name people come here. Senator Tom Cotton from Arkansas. We've had Marco Rubio from Florida. next week we're going to have President Trump here. They're going to be campaigning for the senators because we know the Senate race is a very big deal right now. This Senate race in Georgia will be the determining factor as to whether or not the Senate flips blue. So we know that that is a very big deal for them. So, are you guys familiar with the Senate race here in Georgia? Do you have any thoughts on it?
Worried about it.
You're worried? You want to come share with us? It's okay. So, what's your name?
Jan Moore.
Jan Moore.
Here, I'll hold your end of the sign.
So, well, first of all, why are you here today? Why do you feel like it's important to come out and make sure you're heard?
Because of all the fraud, and I wanted to be able to get involved, and I wasn't feeling like I was involved enough sitting at home looking at the computer, even though I was glued to the computer trying to hear every bit of news that I could hear, and trying to keep up with all of the different pieces of Rudy Giuliani and Jenna Ellis, and yeah, just trying to grab every bit of news that I could get, but I just didn't feel like I was involved enough, so I thought we'd come down here and protest. I've called my House of Representatives guy. I didn't get a call back yet. I'm going to keep trying to call them and keep trying to make some progress.
So since you've been at the computer a lot, have you heard about the lawsuit? We know that a Sidney Powell-led legal team just released a lawsuit this week. It alleges a number of things, one of them being the Dominion voting systems, of course. She alleges that fraud started there, actually, she said. So are you familiar with that?
Yes. I think it's atrocious. I think it's horrible. The software is set up so that they can remotely log into it, make changes to it, flip seats even. I think it's awful. I mean, just the whole setup of it, if the IT people will just examine it, then they will see that it's set up for fraud. It was created for fraud.
That's and that's what they're looking into right now. Hopefully, people out here are saying they hope that this legal case opens up an investigation, and that's what they want. Sidney Powell-led legal team, they really want to open up that investigation and take a closer look at that Dominion voting software. So we were talking about the Senate race. We know how important that is here in Georgia. So what are you concerned about for the Senate race? Do you have any concern?
Yes, I am already concerned that Stacey Abrams has been bragging that she's already sent out 600,000 ballots, and so mail-in ballots. And so I called, like I said, I called my representative, and I got the administrative assistant. She said, well, anybody is entitled to apply for that. Anybody. Like, they don't have to be sick or anything. They don't have to be invalid. Anybody can ask for those. And I thought that's just asking for more fraud. Why would we want to continue doing that with all of the fraud that's already a part of mail-in ballots? So
I actually haven't heard about this. We know that Stacey Abrams was the person she was the governor candidate against Brian Kemp a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, I think. So can you explain a little bit more? I haven't heard of this, the 60,000 ballots?
600,000. She's already sent out 600,000 ballots. So that many had already been requested this week. And my concern is that here we go again with the same problem. We haven't fixed this election yet. This election was a scam, a sham, whatever you want to call it. And here we go again down the same path with all these ballots, and then who's going to count them? And my mom is actually in DeKalb County today watching them count ballots, and she's saying that she doesn't think that they're counting them right. So
the poll watcher over there. Okay, I see. And your name is Jan, right? Okay, Jan, thank you so much for sharing with us. I appreciate it. Awesome. Yeah, so we know that this Senate race is definitely a big deal, especially for people out here who are really protesting any potential fraud in these elections. Because the Senate race is such a huge deal this year, like Jan said, they're already very concerned that the presidential race was not fair, and they're really concerned that the Senate race will head in that direction as well. So all they're hoping for out here is really just to make sure that the lawsuits that are out there are leading to more investigations, and that in the end there's overall transparency. So that's what they're out here protesting for and hoping to get their voice heard.
Looking at Sidney Powell, who they're following.
Cool.
Check out who they are, what they
We'll bring them over.
Next one. And one of them that I was following led me down to two state senators in Arizona, and one of them had posted a
talking about HR 1, which is the first bill that they were in Congress. And they were one that was bigger in state, and then they don't want to give them. They don't want to give them. Between 20 and 30 million legal entities. It's all in the very first bill. They're not going to wait. They're going to just move forward. I was watching, listening to
Good job with the nation. That's right. That's good, John.
They already tried doing that with the COVID lockdown. Does anybody else see that? Like, these coronavirus lockdowns have destroyed the economies of Pennsylvania, Michigan, Virginia, and all of these other states where these Democrat governors think they just get to tyrannize the population. It's disgusting. And then they have the audacity to say, oh, it was your economy, Mr. President. No. You destroyed the economy. And we're picking up the pieces from your policies.
He's the one who has the trike decked up trike.
Yeah, that's if the president, who's in his 70s and, you know, he's got a little bit of padding on his midsection, can get through COVID, you know, no problems. He got rid of it in like 2 days, basically. If he can get rid of that, you think COVID's really going to affect me? I'll tell you something. I had COVID at one point. You want to know what it was? It was like 2 days of headaches and like a sore throat for a week. Yeah, that's the virus we got to shut our country down for. What was the survival rate again? Like 99.997? Are you kidding me? We're shutting our country down because of that.
He's killing American people. Joe Biden's killing American people.
Yep. It's a campaign against the American people. These people shouldn't be in office. Our livelihoods are not political betting chips. And frankly, if, you know, Bill Gates releases his COVID vaccine, I think the first people to test it should be the politicians. Come on. Put your money where your mouth is.
And we need to get rid of the Speaker of the House. Get rid of her. We want the president.
Scissorhand Nancy!
Get rid of Nancy.
Nancy Pelosi sucks!
Don't forget Schumer. Remember, what hat do I have on? Do I have my Democrat hat on?
No, you have your donkey hat.
I say, let's tear down the wall. I'm Schumer. Let's tear his wall down now, everybody.
That's what Biden's going to say. He's going to tear, when he wins, he's going to tear down that wall. Right.
No communists in our America.
Hey guys, I just want to bring attention to what this guy here was saying about the coronavirus. We know the CDC in a recent meeting, I guess is what you want to call it, they said they know the world's population, about 10% of the world's population has had coronavirus. They are basing the mortality and morbidity rates off the 35 million. That 35 million number gives us around a 3 to 4% death rate, right? And you take it off the numbers they gave us, the 10% off of 7 billion, that's 700 million people. That rate is 99.83%. It's a lie. They're telling us to wear masks. They're telling us where we can go, what we can do. What does that sound like to you? China. What else? It's socialism. What is socialism? Socialism It's communism.
Communism, yeah, you're right. Freedom, 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 freedom.
Hey folks, and one more thing. This is, I don't know where you stand with your faith, but this is not a fight that's here on earth. This is the principalities that are above us. This is good and evil. We cannot raise Trump up as if he's a god, but we could say that God may be using this man because he's done it in the past.
That's right, you're right.
And that's the truth. Now check it out, guys. What we need to do is take a stand now. Now, before they say you have to have the vaccine, you need to, because in 2021, they're looking at putting out digital currency for the reserve banks, for the biggest banks in the world. What does that mean? It's the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast will be known. You will know, and you will have to choose one way or the other. It's paving the way. I don't know where we are in this world. All I know is my hope is in God. Okay? So check it out. Just keep your eyes open, folks. That's it. And I'm going to ask that, if you permit me, I'd like to do two things. One is a pledge of allegiance. Second would be a prayer for our enemies, a prayer for our president, a prayer for our nation.
Yeah, but government wants to troll us. And when they troll us,
Justice for all.
I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia at the Stop the Steal rally. This is the fourth weekend in a row that Georgians have gathered here at the Capitol to wake up the government officials. They say that this election was not transparent and they really want a full investigation into what went on here in the election. A lot of them have told us they're concerned about the upcoming Senate race and they really want to make sure that there is integrity and that there is a clear-cut winner in that Senate race, because we know how important that race is, right? Yeah, so we're here with Lydia and Elizabeth, and so they're telling us why they're so passionate about being here. She says that she has a son who actually is for, pro-gun. She really feels like,
My brother.
Your brother. She really feels like that right now our liberties are on the line. So if you could just talk a little bit about what you mean by that.
I just feel like little by little our liberties are being taken away by the mask wearing and everything. If you're sick, stay at home. Don't touch your face. Wash your hands. Just stay at home. If you're afraid to catch it, wear a mask, but don't get on to others or make us wear a mask. Because actually there was an old law that you could not cover your face or wear a hoodie. It's because they couldn't identify you. So, I mean, you can't change a law into whatever they changed it to.
We have some passionate troopers out there. So, although this crowd is not as big as it was last week, they are still just as passionate out here. So, and this is their first rally. So, they said that. Why did you guys decide to come out here?
I think that yesterday I heard on TV, maybe I can't remember, Newsmax or whatever, and somebody said if you really want to do something, come out to the Capitol on Saturday and protest. And so we were at dinner last night and we talked about it and they wanted to come, so we are here.
Really look for it because it wasn't on a lot of social media. I feel like you have to do something. I mean, what can you do just as a regular citizen? But I know Scott Presser, he kind of motivates us to do something. Just stand outside a building and wave a flag and stand up for your rights because they're being taken away from.
Right.
Liberty and everything.
And we feel like, it's an old story, but the media is so corrupt. I mean, it's just, most of it is full of lies, and it's just very discouraging.
So speaking of that, how do you guys actually inform yourselves? Let's let our Americans know, how fellow Americans inform themselves so they can't trust the resources available. What do you guys do?
Well, there's other social groups now. There's Parler. Right. A lot of people are switching off that. I mean, I couldn't even get signed in on the first day. And just leaving these other ones, it'd be nice if we could just not, certain businesses if you just cut them off, but they've closed so many stores down. I mean, how can you do that when you have to go to the store? Because you hear companies that are backing other groups that are against Trump and against, our freedom. And you're like, do they even know what's going on? Do they know their Constitution? Do they know how hard it was for them when they came here and what we fought for? I mean, if you could just... They're taking the history away from the school, the real truth, so they don't know that. I just feel like they're just ignorant and they don't really know what's going on. And they just want to hate Trump or hate whatever. And that's just it's terrible. Sometimes we don't like somebody, but maybe they're a good person and they're trying to help you, but you don't have to like them.
So what do you guys hope the message that you send to the government officials? We're here at the Capitol, right? So obviously
right? We want them to count the legal votes, and we want a special, like an open hearing. We feel that it's just so corrupt. I can't imagine, even statistically, that it's not so obvious that Trump won.
We know that there have been another crowd of passionate honkers out there. We know that there have been some lawsuits now filed there have been a couple of lawsuits filed here in Georgia, and like you were saying, the statistics, right? I know I think it was either Michigan or Pennsylvania, there was a lawsuit based on the mathematics. Were you guys familiar with that?
I'm not familiar with the exact lawsuit, but I've seen over and over again people that have put the statistics together and how just unbelievable it is that Trump won all these other, in every way he improved his vote from 4 years ago, and all the bellwether counties, how everything went his way except for he lost supposedly the election. So it doesn't add up. It literally does not add up.
You don't see Biden signs up where we live, you hardly see them. They're so scarce if you do, and they're not. You just don't. You see a lot of this. There's a lot of motorcycle groups. You see a lot of that. It just doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't.
It's just no way.
That's
the crowds. His rallies.
Right. That's one of the things in the lawsuit it mentioned about. There's apparently Joe Biden won more votes than Barack Obama did, and we know how popular he was, right? So that's one of the things. Yeah. Actually, NTD News, we covered that last night, so if you want to check out that episode, it's our evening news broadcast from yesterday. So we covered, Joe Biden apparently won more votes than Barack Obama. So there's some mathematicians who are very well trained and are saying that it's not mathematically possible. So these are just allegations, of course, but I know that these ladies and everybody here is really hoping that the lawsuits here in Georgia specifically are looked into and the investigations are opened.
Exactly.
And people take accountability.
Right.
I want people to be prosecuted, and that are in our Congress that are trying to make the bad things happen, like cheating and all whatever's going on. I think their heads need to start rolling. And I don't understand why people are not in jail.
Right.
I just don't understand why we just there's evidence of, like I said, Omar getting paid, she's paying them for their vote. And there's people come out and say, yeah, they paid us $800 for a group of people. They gave me $800 and our family voted. Nobody did anything about it. And it was out there. Nobody did anything. I mean, this is where it has to stop. Everybody should be accountable.
Right, and you said, Lydia, you think this has been going on for a while, right?
Oh, yeah.
This election fraud?
I think every election is going to have their dead people voting and all that. You're going to get some of that. But they need to, really, they just need to check all the voters. Everybody needs to come in with an ID, unless you just can't. You just can't,
or your paper ballots,
and they have to actually go through the process of giving information they need for the regular ballots. I'm sorry.
It's okay. We know the paper ballots, right? That's weird. And we know that NTD actually interviewed one election integrity expert who was saying also that there's a lot of voter rolls that have not been purged for years. Right. So this expert was telling us, our show America is Talking, he was telling our host Cindy that there is so many there are so many cities and counties and states that have election rolls that have tons of dead people on them. And this organization, I forget the name, but they've tried for years to get them to purge these rolls, and they're not purging them. So that could be one reason why we're seeing a lot of these extra votes
registered than actually voted. They had more people voted than the ones that were registered, and that's crazy. And I'm like, wait, they had this much percentage and 119%. Yeah, are people double voting, or they're voting again? Remember when Hillary was running? When Hillary was running, they were some Hispanics. There was a lady, I remember seeing her on the news. She goes, I voted 5 times and she was illegal. And I'm like, if this is going on with one lady, I'm sure it's happening everywhere.
That's a good point, Lydia.
You would think that everyone in the country would want to make sure that the election had integrity, like both sides. I just can't imagine that they're okay with all of this and they don't want to check it, because before they were so concerned that Russia was, influencing our elections. So.
And that's one thing that a lot of people, I think, are saying now, that I've heard from a couple of people who are really worried about election integrity here. They're saying that they think that if America's election system crumbles, we will resemble a dictator, totalitarian type of government, because then anybody can get in and stay in. So that's also a concern.
A foreign power can do it as well. So
we heard, speaking of foreign interference, we heard from some of our reporters at NTD. We heard about China's leader Xi Jinping waited so long to actually announce that Biden is the lawful winner. That's what, he waited so long to congratulate Biden. So that raises some red flags for us. We have a very large and dedicated China team at NTD and Epoch Times. So we're really close to the area there in China. So the red flags that it raises is, why did he wait so long? Did he have some other intention? Does he want to, secure it, just like rushing like the rest of the people, even here in America, they want to rush it. So, what do you guys hear about that? Do you think
things I haven't heard of that.
Yeah, so maybe
I heard about Mexico. The Mexican president hasn't congratulated Biden.
He's waiting till it's over.
Right.
And you should wait till it's over. Exactly. I mean, Al Gore had more of a chance than they're giving Trump when he was in.
Right. I mean, but I have not heard about the Chinese.
And we also know that we did a report also last night in our evening broadcast about China and Iran. Loud cars. China and Iran are connected to the Dominion voting system in some way. One of our investigative reporters, you've heard about that. One of our investigative reporters found that a Chinese worker was connected. A former Chinese telecom worker was, connected with Dominion in some way. So those are just all things to keep in mind. And
where they said they took some of the counts in Michigan to Germany to be counted.
I believe that's the same news. Yes.
I'm like, why are we counting our votes in Germany? Who does that? It's I think we need to do a revote.
A revote, okay.
It's so messed up right now. I think we just need to go out and revote like a runoff election. We need to revote. And everything needs to be checked and balanced, and they need to take this Dominion off the machines or whatever.
I see. Thank you so much, Lydia and Elizabeth. I appreciate you guys. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so we're just here talking to some citizens. They say that, like she just said, they want to revote. A lot of them are just calling on the election officials to have a hearing. Some people want Governor Kemp to call a special session and really take a closer look at the Dominion voting systems as well as the voter rolls. We know Sidney Powell led lawsuit, Trump's legal team. Well, Sidney Powell's not part of Trump's legal team, but she's leading a lawsuit that's trying to reveal any election irregularities. Anyways, in that lawsuit, it alleges that there's a lot of voters here in Georgia, apparently, that are registered as a commercial, registered under a commercial address. So that means that they could register at a business and vote twice. So that's some of the allegations that are in that lawsuit. And our sister media has that list of allegations. If you go on Epoch Times, you can see that list of allegations. So we're still here waiting for these speakers to come. We'll be hearing from a couple of young people here. So we're just waiting for them, and the crowd seems to be gathering a little bit more. So that's what's going on here in Atlanta.
J.B. Shirk of the Federalist outlines 5 ways Joe Biden outperformed election norms. That's as legacy media are projecting Biden as winner, despite multiple active lawsuits with hundreds of sworn affidavits alleging widespread voter fraud. But if the reported vote counts are true, Shirk argues that Biden's odds were rather unlikely.
My name is Joe Biden.
The first is the sheer number of votes he got. According to unofficial data from media outlets, Joe Biden won a historical 18 million votes. By that number, Biden smashed the records set by Obama's nearly 70 million votes in his landslide victory in 2008, as well as Hillary Clinton's 65 million in 2016. Media outlets reported that President Trump won 74 million votes. That's 10 million more votes than he won 4 years ago. By that number, Trump got the most popular votes for a sitting president in U.S. history. 26% of the votes Trump received are from minority voters. That's one of the highest percentages for a Republican presidential candidate. Meanwhile, President Trump also received 94% of the primary votes, the highest among incumbents and the 4th highest of all time. No incumbent has lost re-election after winning over 75% of primary votes. Over 18 million people turned out for Trump in the 2020 primary. Bill Clinton, who held the previous record, had half that number. Despite Trump's historical numbers of popular votes, support from minorities, and in the primaries, media projections say Trump still fell short of Biden's reported number of votes. There are 19 counties in the U.S. that have an almost perfect record of predicting the winning candidate, be it Republican or Democrat. They have been dubbed bellwether counties, and no president since at least Ronald Reagan had missed even one until this year. President Trump won every single bellwether county but won by a margin of 16 points on average, while Biden took one of these counties in Washington by 3 points. That's according to independent verification by the Wall Street Journal as well as the Epoch Times. The Federalist also notes a discrepancy between the Democrats supposed to win in the presidential race and their losses elsewhere in the election. Democrats touted the so-called blue wave before the election. The New York Times rated 27 House seats as toss-ups. Now Republicans are on their way to winning all of them. However, some argue that it's not entirely impossible to lose a presidential election and gain House seats. The National Review pointed out that it has happened before, but the last time was half a century ago in 1960, when JFK was elected. So if the media projection is accurate, the Federalist argues, amazingly, Biden beat the guy who lifted all other Republicans to victory. This as Republicans across the nation are poised to flip more seats, even in California. Penny Joe, NTD News.
A key person behind the door.
Do we want them to count every legal vote? Yes! All of you here are gathered today on this. We're making history, folks. Thanks for coming out. My name is Victor. I'm just a Pennsylvanian here from Lancaster County. Thank you guys from wherever you're coming from. We got patriots of all shapes and sizes. We've got people of all faiths, religions, colors, and creeds. But we're all here for one thing, right? Here to stop the steal! 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 Tom Ruff, do you hear us now? He's hiding, all right. Guys, just remember, we all are stronger together. As much as I want to make this about Donald Trump, which is my favorite president of all time, and yours. Let's love Trump. We love Trump! 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 As much as we love our dear president, we are here to count every legal vote. So we need to figure out these
irregularities, we examine them, and the one who wins will come out on top. My time's up, guys, but keep doing what you're doing. God bless you guys. It's a very great point you made. And although "stronger together" was Clinton's phrase in 2016, we can easily take it from him. Because Trump supporters have to act like a unified group. We have to be looking out for each other. Because when the people who are going into D.C. on the 12th, if you've never been into D.C., I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's a liberal shithole. The police are corrupt. They will lead you to Antifa, and Antifa is going to try to kill you. And that's just how it is. It's the same thing. Anybody who's been into Philadelphia knows what I'm talking about. So just please, when you go to D.C. on December 12th, stay safe, stay together. When you're outside of the rally, don't wear your MAGA hat. Just look like an innocent bystander. I don't want to see news stories of people getting hurt.
Leave before dark.
Please leave before dark.
Before dark. We were there. We left before dark. We were fine. Those that did got their ass beat.
And the sad thing too, these Antifa people are cowards. They hide behind the cars. They'll sucker punch you from behind. They'll group up on you. Because they know.
Because the light is shining bright.
Yep. Well, I mean, frankly, if you look at a lot of these Antifa, BLM people, they're ugly. They look like Lori Lightfoot, or as I like to call her, Bug Eyes. Completely disgusting people. And in all of my experience in dealing with them, because I have had the few experiences of having a one-on-one fight with them, I didn't lose at all. I beat them up. Because they tried to attack me. I will never go out and purposely try to assault someone. But if you're going to try to assault me, I'm going to defend myself.
NTD. We are the largest Chinese American television, but we broadcast all around the world, not in China.
You guys working on behalf of the People's Republic?
Do you know Epoch Times?
Oh,
the paper?
Yeah, they're the. What's the movement that's called?
Together. Seems like sister media.
Yeah, but you guys are working for the CCP, right?
Working on what?
The Chinese Communist Party.
They are against us.
Oh yeah, that's what I was asking because I was like, you know, but yeah, you guys were at the last rally, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a bunch of the pamphlets.
What you want to tell people to do is, because it's going to be a big thing on December 14th, park at Shady Grove at that station. It's the red line. Take the red line all the way into the metro station. I've been working all the way.
But I do, because I go to like a parking garage. I go to like the I'm pretty far out from the rally.
It's great to see all of us out here. We're all supporting our president. And frankly,
the people that they're supposed to be a voice for and work for, unless there was something going on nefarious. And that's exactly what it is. You know, so we got all the cards on the table, and now we have truth. Now that we have truth, we can make change. You know, we know what we're up against. So, and I could speak on other things, but I'll go off on we're up against evil, you know. So, anyone that looked at WikiLeaks and saw the way that they talk in WikiLeaks about pizza and pasta and hot dogs, walnut sauce, pizza-related handkerchief maps, kids in hot tubs for entertainment, nobody talks like that. Nobody. And if that doesn't show you the very fact that they are pushing for after-birth abortion, this way the baby's organs grow fully and they get more money. Plus other things that they do that I won't speak on, but, let your imagination run wild. Whatever you can think of, they've done worse. The transgender toddlers, you're talking about, hormone blockers for 6 years old children, God's little precious children. And, the way that people have become so just, their moral compass, it's skewed. And also, beyond the late term abortion and the transgender toddlers, you have the drag queen story hour, that these parents are going in and sitting their children down on the laps of these grown men that's fine, you're doing what you're doing, but you don't need to do it in a school, you don't need to do it in a library, and you certainly don't need to be doing it if you're a convicted child sex offender. So if someone can explain that to me and that it can make sense, and I'll go, oh, I see your point, that makes sense now. I don't think that can happen, I know that they want to take us into the social credit score, and I see a lot of Asian Americans that, I feel for them because they have experienced this firsthand, and they're real patriots. They love our country, and we need to listen to them and what they're saying because they've experienced it, and they're trying to help us. And wherever I go to these things, such good people, the love that they have, of the freedoms that we're taking for granted, it's motivating, if that don't motivate you, nothing will. So, I voted for Donald Trump the last time, I voted for him this time, obviously, and, I'll vote Barron Trump 2044, do you have any questions you want to ask? Real good? Awesome. Scotty Brown. SCOTTYBROWN. Awesome. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for giving me time. Keep up the fight. Awesome. God bless you. This is America, dog.
So things just started getting heated here in Atlanta, Georgia at this Stop the Steal rally. As you see, these people are chanting. They're chanting to the folks across the street. There was a small incident over there. A couple of people are protesting this protest. Apparently, I see on his sweatshirt it says he's with Black Lives Matter. So, there's no violence, nothing really intense breaking out here, just a lot of tension and chants. So this crowd is a good-sized crowd to be during a holiday. So we're just waiting around for the speakers to show up. A lot of these Georgians tell us they're out here. They're super dedicated to coming here 4 weekends in a row to wake up the officials. That's why they're outside the Capitol. They want to wake up these government officials and make sure they know that they will not stand for any potential fraud in their elections. A lot of people have said they are very concerned about the Senate race. So we know that the Georgia Senate race is super important this year, with both of the Senate seats up for grabs, as well as Georgia being the turning point possibly. So depending on how these Georgians vote, the Senate could flip blue. So they're very passionate to make sure the Senate races does not have any fraud as well. So we were speaking with Steve here. He is a born and raised Georgia native. He's from New York, actually.
New York. I live in Commerce, Georgia.
He lives in Commerce, Georgia. So he's saying he's here. He really says he supports Trump's, what he's done for the black community. He said that it's done a lot for the families and helped them to have some dignity. Is that what you were saying?
I think by reducing the unemployment rate among black Americans and Hispanic Americans, President Trump created tremendous opportunities for young black men and women to support themselves, to marry, to support families, to do things like bring their kids to school and establish themselves with some dignity and self-support. And it's a wonderful thing that he accomplished, and I don't think the president or President Trump's supporters get enough credit, because that's what really we want. We're not the racists that we're portrayed as. We believe in fair treatment for everybody, and we want a fair opportunity for everyone. Nothing could be better than for young people to have a chance for a job, and simply saying that everybody by law has to be given $15 an hour to work doesn't going to solve unemployment. It's probably going to make unemployment, because people will be laid off because some employers can't afford that. But when everybody has jobs, more and more people have jobs, it becomes a better, easier contribution, easier to see how the economy can grow that way and how the society can be better for it. And especially with young men that are actively raising families, protecting their children, bringing them to school, making sure they get medical care, dental care, clothes to wear, food on the table. That's a wonderful thing. You almost can't put a price on that.
We know, are you familiar with Vernon Jones, the state representative here?
Yes, I am. So
we know you're talking about traditional family values, right? So what he was telling me, we interviewed Vernon Jones a couple of weeks ago. He was sharing with us that that's one of the, he's a Democrat actually here in the state of Georgia. He was telling me that one of the reasons he does support Trump, even though he's a registered Democrat and acting Democrat state representative here, he said that he supports Trump because of the traditional family values and how important that is. And Vernon Jones was telling us how far the other party has went, the Democratic Party has went to the left, where they're not protecting the traditional family values. So it looks like, Steve, that's a big deal for you too, the traditional family values, right?
It is for all of us. And almost every Trump voter wants the best for every family. They don't want to become millionaires or rich or anything, but they just want the opportunity to earn a living, raise their children, and give them a better opportunity for a better job than they have. That's the tradition of America, that every generation has more than the previous one. We don't want to reduce things, we want to make them greater. So
that's a good point. It's a good point to think about that. So that's why you're here today, to voice your support for the Republican Party and those values.
I am so proud of the president for all he's done for minorities, and I think it's so unfair that he's not getting credit, and he's actually being labeled the opposite of all the good things that he's done. He's not a racist. He's done more for poor minorities than any president has ever done. And he's done it quietly, just done it by doing things that are obvious and common sense. You cut red tape, let companies come back to America and establish employment for the people, and that's just wonderful.
So what do you think needs to happen? We know that right now the young people seem to be the target for a lot of this misinformation in the colleges. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the college situation. We talked to some college students earlier who were sharing that, what's going on their college campuses. We know that there's a lot of colleges that are pressuring these young people to fall along ideological lines that are, they shame them for their conservative values, some of the young people have told us. So I'm just concerned, just being, a wise man, Steve, what do you think is the answer to helping our young people to really wake up and return to those values?
Well, that's a good question. I think the first thing is they have to be able to hear an opposite point of view. most of them are adamant that they don't want to even hear somebody that disagrees with them, and that's the most unfortunate thing. Because if somebody going to convince them that if you're thinking wrong and you never hear an opposite point of view, you never hear an argument about why you're wrong, you'll never be able to change your mind. So by outlawing dissent and conservative speakers on many college campuses, and in really censoring them in so many ways, I mean, it's ridiculous that the President of the United States is actually censored on Facebook, and he's censored on Twitter. It's laughable. There's a statement about, I saw a statement after he made a charge of a corrupt election, that mail-in voters are safe, mail-in votes are safe and secure, and all I have to say, that's a Twitter statement. How can mail-in votes be safe and secure if Pennsylvania returns mail-in votes that were the same day they were mailed? There's something wrong with the process that you know, if they mail out votes on one day and they receive the votes back from the same voters the same day, that obviously is not a normal mail delivery process.
And that's actually one thing. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Sidney Powell-led lawsuit. Well, it looks like there's some stuff going on right here. So they're chanting across the street to the couple of people that have gathered over there. Earlier, they were just singing or saying the Pledge of Allegiance up there, so they're very passionate to make sure that their voice is heard, and no violence over here, which is a good thing. But what I was trying to mention, about Sidney Powell's, the Sidney Powell-led lawsuit, you're talking about the absentee ballots, right? And some of the things they're trying to challenge in that lawsuit, from what I understand, is some manufactured ballots. That's what one of the allegations. I've talked to many poll watchers, and they say that there's been ballots that have perfect circles voting for Joe Biden. Now, I personally have not seen any of those ballots with the perfect circles, but a lot of the poll watchers from many counties I've been to that have told me that these perfect circles they look to be manufactured, because they say there's no way for a human to make this perfect circle. So it's very loud over here in Georgia, right, Steve? A lot of passion out here.
There is passion, yes. But I heard the same stories, Melanie, about the voters' ballots that were filled in circle with a perfect circle, as though they were done on a machine. Is I guess the implication that a person didn't sit down with a marking pen or a pencil or something and fill that out. That it was done. It came out of a machine. It was printed that way. So.
Have you seen that lawsuit? Do you think there's hope for it?
Yes, I am familiar with Sidney Powell's lawsuit. I understand she brought up 30 different complaints in her lawsuit that she filed in Georgia.
Do you think that's going to be successful?
I'm not really sure. The details that I have a lot of hope for are the fact that Matt Brainerd identified over 1,000 people in Georgia that filled out their absentee application with an address that was a post office. He found another 1,000 that put down a residential address, which was a commercial address. And in the case of the post office, instead of putting down post office box 555, they put down apartment 555. So they were clearly falsifying information in their application. That was 2,000. That was over 2,000 instances of that alone. The difference between Biden and Trump in Georgia is not very big. So if we can only get a fair assessment of all these issues, we may be able to throw all those votes out and win Georgia.
I see. That's a good point. That's why you're here, Steve. Show your passion. That's awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate you being here and sharing your story. I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, awesome. So that's also one of the things. What he's saying, the margin was so small in Georgia. We've talked to a couple of voting advocate experts here that are saying the way the Georgia election officials were directed to submit their results from that first audit they did was just to resubmit their electronic numbers if the vote margin was in a certain percentage. So one of the things I was talking with a voting advocate about, and also a poll watcher, was since the margin's so small, it's in 10,000, a little over 10,000, I think, between Biden and Trump. If these 159 counties each had 80 to 100 votes extra that they found in that hand audit, there's no way to tell that that number was off. So pretty much, if each county had around 100 extra votes that they didn't include in their first audit, like an update, that means that those votes just went uncounted. So it's just very interesting, the situation here in Georgia and what we keep finding out. So that's what these people are out here for, just to voice their opinions and make sure that these open lawsuits lead to some investigation. So this crowd out here is super passionate still to get that message across. You see, election integrity matters, one sign says. They're out here just waving their flags, and they're just very passionate to make sure these election officials wake up to what they say is not a transparent election here in Georgia. So.
Make sure he didn't get blown away.
How far down have we right back? Some of the other things going on is like apparently all the people that work for Dominion, some of them are Spanish. Yeah, I know. And like they're scrubbing their social media. It's like oh, that dude was legit. Like he was actually an Antifa. And
no, I can't hear sir.
Saying, oh, Trump's not going to win. I fucking make sure.
Saturday, so you can come in because that's one day we
I
count every legal vote! 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 Count every legal vote!
Gotta get rid of that traitor Shapiro, too.
Why did you come from Florida to this rally today?
This is vacation. This is Thanksgiving vacation, yeah. But I want to say the Trump and the people should vote Trump.
Why?
Yeah. I should vote Trump. I want to Trump for more year. Yeah, Trump, Trump funds the Trump don't like CCP. I don't like CCP. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Nan. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you
very
for
much.
being here.
Thank you.
That was, so it was cut in the middle?
Biden's going to prison. Biden's going to prison. Biden's going to prison. Right. Biden's going to prison.
Take your glasses off so I can see your eyes, man!
You wait, buddy.
Take your glasses off!
Hey, there's still some patriots left in this country, buddy. Yeah.
make sure unfair events. If you're stupid, you won't believe God. But there's no way that can happen. Unknown. You're the unknown, Tom? I don't text much. You know what it takes to text on this thing? You ever text on this? I used to. You pull up a letter and you scroll over to...
Oh, now you can double hit on the numbers, right? Like, B would be 1, 2, 3 on the numbers.
Oh, really?
Well, like the numbers, like...
Well, if I want to text A, then you want A, and then it'll come with A, B, C.
Well, no,
Hey! What's yours, asshole?
She do it that way. That's how mine used to do it.
Folks, they'll never come stay at our bases. They always gotta drive by, rip us off.
Yeah, you'll be on it. I'm going to be on you in the flag. There you go.
So here in Atlanta, Georgia, it's been a long and passionate couple of hours here. We have all these Georgians out here. They're standing in front of the Capitol, ready to really make sure the governor and Secretary of State know they are not going to stand for potential fraud in the presidential election as well as the upcoming Senate race. So we were supposed to, according to the website for the Stop the Steal rally, the organizers, C.J. Pearson and Chandler Crump, were apparently supposed to make an appearance, but they have not showed up. Maybe they're spending time with family. We know it's the holiday right now, but that didn't stop all these people out here, and as you saw across the nation out there protesting these potentially fraudulent election results. So we are ending our live stream now, and we'll catch you next weekend. Thanks for watching.